There is a high degree of tension associated with box office gross returns. Winning and holding the top slot for most popular movie is certainly extremely challenging. There may be a sort of comparison between the contrasting urban-based gangsterism of The Godfather and ocean-swimming predatory sharks as the one so starkly feared in Jaws. Usually, major motion pictures are very big budgets, and so they need to recoup all the initial expenditures before they are scoring profits. There are so many people working to complete the picture, both high-level professionals and many various job requirements. Therefore, the need for highly super seductive pictures. Usually, there must be some gimmicks that grab attention. Wild action in pursuit to kill a huge shark is not like East Asian martial arts, but the speed of the action would be a common factor with that genre. Bruce Lee thrilled fans with Enter the Dragon. Then The Exorcist delved into the darker, forbidden recesses of ill-advised necromancy. Chuck Norris is introduced in The Way of the Dragon with powerfully convincing expressions of American martial arts combat skills. Grease was a prototype for subsequent high school musicals, celebrating wonderful artistic inventions that the rock and roll era was freely, festively pioneering. But clearly there is an amazing variety of different attractions that are not even similar and maybe starkly contrasting. Holding interest and avid enthusiasm is always preferable. There may be ways in which normal rules of society get flouted. There's often the creation of an entirely alternative world or even universe. Lois Lane's sensual romance with Superman's extraordinary powers has aroused cinema-going girls, both US and international, while in Kramer versus Kramer, the pathos of raising a small boy in a broken home after divorce plays realism over wild extreme. Dustin Hoffman breaks advice to not work with children. All dressed in white in the nuthatch, crazy patients are being lobotomized. It doesn't look good for Murphy. Does he really know what he's in for? Could be a nasty surprise. Will it hurt much? He can hack it, but will there be long-term effects? Imperiously experimenting on human brain chemistry. There were many pictures quite strongly focused on earthly subjects, as there's plenty of wildly exciting things on this planet to work with before we start trying to extend our powers very far beyond. But at last, the passion for outer space really caught on in a big way and began to burgeon. Cinema goers like something exciting to pull them out of the comfort of home. Box office ticket sales gross is a clear indication of audience attraction. The movies that climbed up to over $100 million proved to have that compelling pulling power over audiences. Star Wars 4: A New Hope overtook The Godfather at nearly $300 million and kept on growing until eventually E.T. took over on the sprint into speculations on futuristic space adventures. Kids being preferred as confidants for private communications with an extraterrestrial visitor holds popular affection quite strongly, while so many different genres of picture are bursting past The Godfather's ever-growing record, which began to peak at just over $400 million. The obvious contrast in the difference between cute young kids and a weird alien creature made us consider what sort of obstacles would our initial prejudices put in our minds. There was an optimistic brightness in dreaming about Russia cooperating with USA, both on Earth and in outer space, when Gorbachev heeded Reagan's entreaties. But what can excite man's lust and greed more than great, fantastic, hidden treasure? Raiders of the Lost Ark spawned two other Indiana Jones pictures in the 80s, Temple of Doom and The Last Crusade. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in 2008 and Dial of Destiny in 2023 carried it on. But a bigger franchise began with Jurassic Park in 1993, Lost World 1997, Jurassic Park 3 2001, Jurassic World Trilogy World 2015, Fallen Kingdom 2018, Dominion 2022, now Rebirth 2025. There's a common archaeological fascination in both the Indiana Jones and Jurassic Park. Independent of whether the film spawns a series or achieves blockbuster status, we must all be amazed at how many movies Spielberg has directed. He made 9 movies before he came to mass popular attention with Jaws in 1975. From then, he managed to maintain his place as a top US film director. I count 34 movies since Jaws so far. The friendship between George Lucas and Steven Spielberg after meeting in 1967 has endured over 5 decades. It shows up clearly in all of this prominent, successful film series. They worked together on Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., Extraterrestrial. They co-created, produced, and co-wrote the Indiana Jones franchise, and Spielberg provided early support on Star Wars, and Lucas assisted Spielberg on Jurassic Park. The recent breakthrough in reusable rockets evidently promises cheaper space travel, bringing us nearer now to the sci-fi dreams that TV and cinema have boldly explored over the last few decades. Star Trek reached TV viewers in 1966, while the first Star Wars picture to burst onto the big screen with a swift, massive popularity was 13 years later in 1979. How high-minded can pictures be and still hold fascination with the largest audience? There is always at least one elite to focus on, and possibly clashing rivals or competing entities. Them and us, unequal powers. Struggles in this earthly realm for success, wealth, influence, power, and probably even prominence. The appeal to essential basic desires leads down many different avenues. How much will mass interest sway anybody? How firmly single-minded should one be, or can one be, in pursuing a goal? The 80s explored the usual array of interests like sexiness and relationship, excitement and adventure, fun and contingency. Putting things up on the big screen can seem like a new religion in some cases. Back to the Future gives us modern equipment designed to travel backwards through time, while Out of Africa luxuriates in a wonderful adventure trip through early aviation, small light two-person biplane pioneering in the dawning of 20th century Kenya around a Danish woman's coffee plantation. The panoramic scenery seems to have influenced the conceptions in the subsequent Lion King that comes out 9 years later. But first, a silly cartoon where Roger Rabbit meets Bob Hoskins as a hard-bitten private eye called in to investigate an adultery scandal. In 1988, it was catching up, passing all the $250 million films. But then a more serious kind of fantasy, Batman explodes onto the cinema screen in 1989. There's a lot more heavy violence than the initial 1966 TV series, but the glamour and smoldering sexual tension is more advanced to serious excitement and action, with wildly powerful machines, rivalry taken to the ne plus ultra. Now we're at $450 million for a sexy call girl and sly, greedy business executive, but it just looks so good. Julia Roberts gets a sensational makeover at a top fashion boutique on celebrated Rodeo Drive, home to 100 of the world's leading international brands, housed in exemplary architect-designed boutiques along its 3 palm-dotted blocks. The pretty woman eventually returns to the Beverly Wilshire Hotel in a completely super high-class new style, perfectly at ease with her upgraded status as respected patroness. Ghost overtakes Pretty Woman and even breaks past the mighty Star Wars with over $514 million. The exquisite Righteous Brothers' famous Unchained Melody provides a thrilling soundtrack for this sadly doomed romance, which expresses intense love frustrated by the passing of the Patrick Swayze character, while Demi Moore is the grieving lover who feels his ghostly presence as he must love her from beyond the grave. Eventually, Ghost topped out at $545 million, unable to beat E.T., but staying ahead of Terminator 2. Home Alone makes a child star of Macaulay Culkin as he realizes with horror that he has been left behind as his family are already away on their holiday, leaving him quite suddenly to have to fend off two dumb home invaders, including Joe Pesci. His mum hitches a ride on a budget truck with a polka band to get back to him, but he will have a lot of fun keeping the house safe for himself. Kevin Costner builds his career fame directing and starring in Dances with Wolves as a decorated lieutenant who wants to see the frontier before it's all gone. When he meets the Sioux Indians he takes up with a white woman whom they carried along with the tribe, he is able to tame a wolf that gives him his Indian name, the title of the picture. He rides free amongst immense buffalo herds and exults in the nomadic lifestyle of the Plains Indians in the 1860s. During the American Civil War, he has a love affair in the tent village and travels on horseback among wild mustangs. In Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Costner does not also direct, but his star presence sells the picture to a high contention of popularity. He preaches to his fellow English brethren that they can take on 10 trained enemy soldiers, each man, and win the battle. With good, well-made weapons, specially honed skills, and concentrated strategies for victory and success. But they need to get more of that focused, plucky attitude, sending arrows swiftly to their mark, and be audacious in daring to risk everything to defy and conquer. Duly, the merry men become formidable in copying their lord's blueprint, and he leads them to defeat the unjust, cruel Sheriff of Nottingham. The spirit of the crusade in the holy city of Jerusalem moves this rebellion for true justice. The heroes are willing to risk death to liberate the people from tyrannical, abusive domination. Exciting action gratifies audiences everywhere. The example that will inspire is most welcome. Terminator 2 hits $519.8 million box office after the first Terminator scored only $78.4 million. So James Cameron's directing star climbs. With it, also Arnold Schwarzenegger gains great fame in his role. This prepares the way for further explorations of how much meat there is still left on this evidently juicy bone. There are monstrously aggressive violent scenes, so we may wonder what psychological effect they may have on the children. Brazenly uninhibited flaunting of huge muscle power continues the barbarian style. Let's see that in leather and mounting a motorbike in action. Oh, wait, we need to disarm a shotgun-wielding dissenter first. And let's have those snazzy shades to top the image off. All right. No more arguments, huh? Away we go. How is the young John Connor? Having fun playing his arcade video game? But trouble is just around the corner for Connor. A sinister new Terminator model is out to do him harm. Is he caught between two dangerous robots? Robert Patrick is fierce against the poor young Edward Furlong, but now the old Terminator robot protects the boy. The new model self-heals immediately. John Connor is away out of the building, onto a motorbike and racing off to get away from his pursuer quite totally recklessly. Robot Patrick, of course, does not give up the chase, but turfs the guy out of his truck and smashes through any cars that get in his way. The Arnold robot is not far away. Sensational motocross racing. Take it off-road. The kid is free. No more threat from behind. Spoke too soon. This robot got no feelings. We need to be away again. It's out to kill and do murder. Don't let him get you, kid. He's not stopping now. Arnie is now a hero Terminator coming to rescue John Connor. He'll destroy this new murderous robot and help the kid to get away. Maybe this robot doesn't have enough intel, but he's not letting that stop him. It'll take Arnold to effect the rescue. Here he comes after a daring leap, squeezes by to reach the boy, grab onto him and pull him onto the Angel's motor. The kid's bike is trashed, but Arnie shoots the truck tire out. The T-1000 doesn't know what he's up against now. Things are going to get mighty warm, just a spark, and kaboom! Keep on riding strong. That T-1000 never stops for nothing. By 1994, Aladdin was nudging up close after Terminator 2 with over $522 million box office returns, a much more uncontroversially kid-friendly animated classic romance tale from the Arabian Nights. Aladdin marries the Sultan's daughter and flies up in the moonlight with her on a magic carpet. Beauty and the Beast doesn't reach the same heights of Aladdin, but tops out at $425 million. The dark mansion of the beast contrasts sharply with the lovely brightness of beautiful Belle. She is fearlessly seeking her father, who is imprisoned in a cell. She wants to free him, so she boldly searches the dimly lit stairways and corridors until she finds him at last. The beast is a big rough monster who makes Belle cry. He's been the object of sorcery from an enchantress, and eventually Belle breaks that spell. The Lion King zooms up, taking third place in spring of 1994, stretching from $637 million to $793 million, eventually overtaking E.T. A glorious feast of visually fascinating artistic animation, reveling in the animal totems of Africa, with panoramic vistas and aesthetically arranged designs, symbolically celebrating a harmonious balance only shattered by Scar, who spreads terror. But indomitable camaraderie is enjoyed as a panacea, and awareness dawns that the cub has grown and must fight to take the place of Mufasa, who was killed in a wildebeest stampede. The animal celebration is delightful to behold and bespeaks a victory over evil, a triumph of justice. Forrest Gump and Independence Day join the way over $500 million club, and Titanic suddenly starts racing to the top, overtaking Jurassic Park, closing in on $1 billion and settling in for a long run. The Lion King eventually does overtake Jurassic Park in December 2002 with $916 million and keeps running up to $979 million, just short of $1 billion. However, Titanic has more than doubled that with over $2 billion. James Cameron holds sway with a massive lead over other directors at the start of the new millennium. For people starting out into this new frontier of exploration who are more novice than professional, we may be starstruck and stunned, but we don't need to be eliminated out for the count. You may want to be scripting and editing videos. There are many options available these days. Fiverr offers many choices. See my video which focuses on presenting all the buying and selling of services on Fiverr. You can explore your own potential and have some fun with InVideo AI. There's lots to play with there. Some people may want to take best clips of their favorite films for personal pleasure and satisfaction. I moved on from starting with Wave and then progressing to 4K video downloader. A lot of folks are trying to monetize their skills these days. If you want to help my channel, then you can sign up with any of my affiliate links listed below. I also enjoy using my Apple iMovie and DaVinci Resolve for my video editing.